I'm Devin Nelson. I was just interviewed by Keith Andrew. He's doing an amazing job. This is my second interview on his network, and you should really check it out. Awesome stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the Keith Andrew Network. It is episode 756. That's right, 756. I'm here as a good friend, Devin Nelson. It's great to have you as a guest once again. And welcome back to the Keith Andrew Network.
Hi, Keith Andrew. Thank you so much for having me back. It's great to be here.
No, the honor is all mine. For people who want to see our very first episode we ever did, it was back in season 6, episode 541. So they can go look up all my episodes, episode 6, actually season 6, episode 541, if they want to watch the before and after. And as you know, when we did our first episode, I had Skype, so I had to decorate the bed. Now that I have Zoom, I can hide the background. So I kind of wish I had this for a long time.
It looks great. I'm kind of jealous. It's amazing. I love the lightning.
I appreciate it. And you can actually do the same. You can do the same for yourself, but the lightning does not come on Zoom. There's a little app I want to, actually, that you mentioned it, I want to promote. It is WERBLE. So you pretty much make pictures and you can add special effects to it.
That's awesome.
But with that said, it's been, season 6. So it is season 8. No, so it's been about, for 3 years. You know, how you been during the 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a journey. I think our first interview was when I had just moved to LA. So it was like kind of a big, life change for me. And I had a great time in LA. And then, COVID happened and it kind of got to the point where I wanted to be closer to my family. I'm from New York. All my family's in New York. So I had to make that decision to come back to New York, for what's been like going on 8 months now. So it's definitely been a journey from the past 2 years for sure.
No, absolutely. I remember you said you had family in Long Island.
Yeah. And you're on Long Island too, right?
No, well, it's funny because I actually saw bits and pieces of our first episode. I actually told you, would you do a 6-minute episode for our interview? I was born and raised in Long Island, but I'm more upstate near Central Valley, the Catskills.
Got it. That's a beautiful area.
Yeah, it's really nice, especially with older, it's PG-13, but you can freedom of speech, self-express, and say anything you want. But especially with all the shit going on in the city, the shootings and the riots, and not to talk about politics, but this is completely up to you. But, it's people are like, where are the cops? They want to say, oh, this is what happens when, Democrats or whatever BS. It's like, you know what? And I was thinking this when I was trying to go to sleep. You're a police officer. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Spanish, Asian. It doesn't matter how you feel. You're wearing that badge. As a police officer, you get your ass out there and you do your job. You protect all the New Yorkers. You protect everyone. How you feel off the clock, hey, that's completely up to you. But as a police officer, you have to do what you have to do. And, it's not saying, oh, if you're a Republican, I help you. If you're a Democrat, I give you a perfect example. And I was thinking this last night. And it really pissed me off. Every time I try to go to sleep, all this crap comes to me. And I'm like, why can't I say this during the day? Why has to come to me when I'm about to go to sleep? September 11th was a perfect example of people coming together. It didn't matter if you're Jewish or Christian, whites, blacks, Spanish. It didn't make a damn difference. On that day, We saw evil, and unfortunately, we saw a lot of death on that day, but people came and united. It's really sad, but it takes a big tragedy for people to come together. You see even Hurricane Sandy, people, came together. Now that you have the crazy dictator, or in his case, he's just a dick, running around stirring things up. And it's kind of like, oh, you're a Republican. No, we are all Americans. We can all treat each other the same. And, it's just this amount of stupidity. If the police officers got off their asses and did their job, there would be less students, number one. Now, I'm not saying Cuomo. There's times where I say, you know what? I try really hard to like Trump, but now he can go blame himself. There were times where I'm like, I like Chris Cuomo, but yeah, he won't put his foot down with the Hasidics. That's number one. And Blasio, not giving him a free pass or anything, he's the number one, has to get the hell out of office. We need prisons open, and especially mental institutions. We need to get the people who are ticking time. You probably heard the story this past weekend, or maybe it happened yesterday, where this asshole was standing on a bus with a flamethrower. So I don't know what Mad Max New York City this guy was thinking he's imaginary he is. But if you're on a bus with a flamethrower, you deserve to have a bullet put into you, because that's an act of terrorism.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a lot of, big points. And it's interesting that, we're talking about this because I have a very unique perspective given, just to give you a background, my father is retired law enforcement. My boyfriend is Jewish and was also a rapper. So that's a very interesting background. But just to kind of like connect all the two, like you talk about, the issue with the cops, and kind of also the issue of like, I feel like everyone else is kind of looking at New York City because we got hit hardest with COVID first, and then also, with everything going on with the protests and how the NYPD is handling it. Yeah, our crime rate is, going up. Also, people are fleeing the city because not only because of COVID, but because of, all the things that make New York City aren't available. Broadway's closed for the next year. The restaurants are back and open, but only at a limited capacity. All the things that you like about New York City, the art, the food, it's gone. So there's really no point, being here. But what I have seen is that, there is a resiliency, like Trump wants to call us, a ghost town, but being here and living through it, from its worst to now, there is a resiliency. It's not as bad as people are saying. And we're tough and we're gonna, get through this. As far as, the cops and everything, I totally agree. They're very political. You had the NYPD, the commissioner endorsing Trump, and it really shouldn't be political. If you're a public servant, like you said, it doesn't matter what race you are, what religion, what your political ties are, you should be protected. Period. So they kind of have to, they're acting like kids in the sense of, oh, you want to protest us? Well, we're going to walk away. Like, good luck now. And it's not the way that it should be handled at all, and you brought up a very interesting point in terms of like the Hasidic community in New York City. And based on the numbers, there have been correlations between those communities and, COVID hotspots. However, there also is kind of a nuance with that. And there's always kind of a danger in pointing fingers, particularly at Jewish communities based on, historically, they've been scapegoats historically, like since from the beginning of time, they've been the ones who have been blamed for things. And that kind of starts like a slippery slope of, right, anti-Semitism. Like there's definitely a way of going about it. I don't particularly think that the ways that they were approaching it were completely, politically correct, because there are other communities as well who are, also, you go to Staten Island. Staten Island is a COVID hotspot. who are the inhabitants of Staten Island, like Italian Americans, you know? So like there are multiple groups of people to kind of look at in terms of like who is, you know, spreading COVID. So I think it kind of needs to be like a delicate discussion that includes all parties rather than like pointing fingers at like one particular group, especially one that's been persecuted, you know, throughout history. It's a crazy time, and like a lot of stuff is happening all at once. And it's really interesting to like have these conversations. Like, I think that's what needs to happen. Otherwise, things aren't going to get better. They're just going to keep on getting worse.
No, I agree with you 100%. But the first thing I want to say is I like the cat. It's never really, is that the same cat from the first time?
The first time I was at my friend's house who has a dog. So it's funny how like first time interview, it's like a dog and now it's a cat. So yeah, that's Cleo. She's looking out the window. She's like trying to hunt birds. So.
Well, first off, you know, it's wonderful to catch up with you. I miss talking to you. And once there's a vaccine, we should definitely hang out at some point. I want to take a picture with you for my book that I'm working on. It's all funny why people say I should write a book, but I haven't felt like I completed a lot of goals, but we can always talk about that after. But going back to what you said about the Hasidic community, is I met a lot of nice Hasidic people. And you can say the same thing about white people. You can say that about any other races out there. But, you know, where they say, I'll give you an example. There's schools in my area that are still open, and now they're starting to close. But yet, these people, and I'm Jewish, by the way, but these people are still going to school, and they're not wearing a mask. And it's kind of like, that's what I'm saying. But otherwise, I really don't have an issue or a problem with that. But going back to the other thing I was going to tell you, but I'm having a brain fart. What someone I know always says is, you know, you can point fingers at the Hasidics, what you were saying. But, you know, there are stupid white people that don't take it enough to take it seriously. I give you an example. As my brother says, not enough of these people have died that, I know that sounds horrible, but not the Hasidics, because white people don't take it seriously. They think it's fake, it's make-believe, but not enough for those people got sick and died. The ones that, you know, Chris Christie said, you know, it was made up, it was fake. As soon as he got sick and came out of the hospital, he said, you know what? I was wrong. This is something serious. We need to take care of it. We need to take action. So until you get sick and you're at death's door, you're not good. I'll give you an example. I go walking around the lake with my dad. There's about 5 people who wear a mask, and the other percentage of no mask, no social distancing, absolutely nothing. We're in ShopRite, and they were saying, oh, you should also, on the floor, it says arrow going down one way, arrow coming back the other way. No, I'm going to walk down whatever aisle I want. I'm going to bump into people. And it's like, that's the problem, that over 2 million people have died, and yet no one's taking this stuff very seriously. And as I said, not enough for those rich, snobby assholes, you know, have kicked the bucket yet. I know, oh, he sounds horrible, but hey, freedom of speech.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. You know, we need to add, you know, we need to harken back to those times when, you know, as tragic as September 11th was, we were all Americans in that moment, you know, and in this moment, we all need to be Americans and look out for one another. You know, the fact that people don't want to wear masks is just, it's sad because it shows that they don't care about anyone other than themselves, you know, and people are so worried about just what's happening to them and is it going to affect them personally that they're not thinking about the bigger picture. And it's sad. It's very frustrating, you know?
Well, you think this is funny, and it's really sad because it's happening again. There's a run on paper towels and toilet paper.
Oh, gosh.
Now, I said to my dad, how can you wipe your ass with paper towels? Don't you normally throw that in the garbage? But you know, it's stupid because then you see those videos online. Hey, if you need good deal on paper towels and toilet paper, let me know. So okay, it's a point you want to stack up, and this is a perfect wake up call for everyone. It's good to be prepared. I'm not saying turn into a hoarder or anything, and prepare. But you're saying, what about those people who have a fallout shelter and always stacked up and stuff? They had the right idea for the most part because they were prepared for worst case scenario. I'm saying yes, buy as much toilet paper and paper towels you want. Even if things go back to normal, buy it, throw it in the attic, forget about it, and when the crap hits the fan, you're all set. You don't have to go out and panic. Water, on the other hand, water tends to expire, but it's one thing about my green screen. If I move a certain way, it kind of glitches out. But it's kind of like, yes, it's good to be prepared, have a supply stacked up, but you don't want to like someone sneezes and all of a sudden I have to go to the supermarket. You don't want to become that type of person.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of hysteria, going on, and I don't know. It's crazy how much you can kind of get caught up in it. Like I remember when it first started, even myself, I was like, well, do I have enough things? And it's kind of this feeling of like, when things kind of get out of your control, you try to control the things that you can control. Like, it's like, well, I can't control this crazy virus. It's like unpredictable. I don't even understand fully how it works, but I can control, how many rolls of toilet paper I have or like how many canned goods I have. So I definitely think there's like a psychology to it. It's just sad when it gets to the point of like greed and you go on Amazon and like Clorox wipes are like $50 and they shouldn't be, there's definitely levels to it. I think it affects us all, but just to like different degrees. And greed doesn't help either,
No, absolutely. Now I'm going to ask you, well, this is a very special episode because we're trying to make it different. I want your honest opinion. Do you want to talk about political stuff or not really? This is up to you.
I mean, I'm down for anything, honestly.
What is your opinion about the Proud Boys?
I mean,
I think they're disgusting, to be honest.
That you can't go to like one unbiased source anymore. You can pick and choose what news you want to listen to, and you're not even worried about whether or not it's true or not. You're just trying to hear what you want to hear. So the fact that like there's no more reliable sources anymore and people are just hearing what they want to hear to kind of like reinforce their racism, reinforce their like xenophobia or, whatever. It's just, I'm disgusted, but I'm not surprised because like we've been dealing with this for so long. And I think having a president like Trump just makes it worse now because now you have someone who is, before Trump, racists had to kind of hide. They couldn't be like as proud as they are now. But now you have a president who's like literally during his speeches praising the Proud Boys and telling them to like stand by. Now you have someone who's encouraging that and emboldening those types of people. That's making it worse, So these problems have always been here, but I feel like having a president like Trump at the head of it just makes these people bolder, which is, very dangerous. It's very scary, like we shouldn't, it's sad that we have a president who can't condemn outright, racism like that.
One of the questions he was asked is like, do you condemn white supremacy? And he refused to answer the question.
Yeah.
And the only thing he said was stand down and stand by. You couldn't hear a freaking pin drop as soon as he said that. Everyone stopped and said, what the hell does it even mean? What's that even mean? I got a chill. I usually don't get chills, but like when people speak, but I got a chill. I'm like, what the hell was that? And then as soon as they went back, it's funny because they went back to CNN and Fox News, and it went back and like what he said, and it was like a complete deer in the headlights, or like didn't know how like did he really just say what he just said? But he's outgoing and protesting. It's like, dude, you lost the election. Move on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Trump is a cancer, and he will not go away until the day he dies. You know, he's going to be, he says, that's it. You know, I'm no longer a big fan of Fox News. I am no longer, because Fox News turned on him for the longest time, they're praising him. And now he's like, okay, let's move on to somebody else. I'm going to start my own network. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be big. And whatever, all that BS. But, as you said, learning from history, unfortunately, we're actually on the brink of a depressing number one. He's making a shitstorm for Joe, and he's going to make and he's not done until January.
Yeah.
So imagine what he's going to do, and then when Joe might become president, okay, it's all yours. Yeah, of course we're gonna the joke in The Simpsons. It's like Trump bankrupts America. Well, he's got to pretty much crap the bed, and then we're all gotta get out of this. But the people who are like, who are you? Who moved to rock? Things won't go back until a long time. These assholes won't disappear. Trump is not going to disappear by any stretch of the imagination. He's got to be like a hemorrhoid. He's got to be everywhere, starting problems. You got to have the idiots in Germany. You got to have idiots anywhere. But we're on a break of another depression, a recession, whatever you want to call it, and a civil war. But the difference between the whites versus the blacks, it's going to be the reds versus the blue. You got to have the normal people versus the super Wiblo conservative BSs. And don't get me wrong, I am a Democrat. I was a Democrat. I don't really care about any of that crap. But yes, I am a Democrat. But there are Democrats who are really stupid, and they need to go. Until you get smart, reliable people saying, we're not taking any sides, we're going to call it straight down the middle, you're going to watch the crap hit the fan. And if those idiots overturn the government in favor of Trump, that's it. That's the ball game. Democracy is dead, because you're going around, everyone's going on saying President Joe Biden is the president. But yet there's a tiny chance you can reverse the decision and give the baby the bottle. It's kind of like you're going to destroy the country. That's it.
Yeah.
But, you can't fix stupid, but you can numb it with a 2x4. But, it's until this freaking guy goes away and the media stops covering him, the only way he has got to go away is the media stops talking about him. And I just want things to go back to normal. I want a vaccine. Yes, you're only gonna have these stupid people out there. But the truth of the matter is, it's going to take a long time. Right now, personally, it's time for healing and time to reject the poison, because that's what we have right now. Because if this is hell, I can't imagine the hell actually being worse.
Yeah.
But everyone needs a wake-up call.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, it's a very polarizing time, like I noticed you kind of said like it's the normal people versus like the Republicans, but it's like at the same time, as crazy as it sounds to say, there are Republicans who are quote unquote normal people. I mean, it's a spectrum. There are Republicans who openly condemn Trump and feel that he's, ruined their party.
Absolutely.
There are people that I know in my life who I know have voted for Trump, and it's like, either, I mean, I'm not inside of their head, but I suppose it's either, misinformation, it's either, latent, unsubconscious racism or xenophobia. You know, there's a lot of levels. There are people who vote for Trump simply because they know they're going to get a better tax break. You know, there's a lot of levels to it, and you know, I think it's bigger. Like, if we really want to survive this and progress forward, it's bigger than like going back to normal, because like even normal wasn't great, you know, like the fact that it's like, oh, at least COVID has decreased the amount of mass, you know, shootings, like the fact that that's kind of a reality, the fact that there's like kind of a pro to COVID in some sense, like is really sad. You know, what was normal before COVID wasn't perfect. So I think it kind of goes beyond that. Like, we really need to take this time to like analyze what got us here and like really reckon with our country's long history of, you know, capitalism that's like become corrupt, and you know, racism. And we really need to, you know, have this conversation about how we can move forward, because it's kind of like all of the things that we've been pushing to the side have kind of come back to haunt us in a sense. And it's like we really all have to put in the work to get through this, because I agree, it's hell right now. It's not a good time.
No, I agree. And my dad always tells my brother, get out of the city, because, you know, it's going to get bad.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And that goes for you, too. You should get out of the city.
I mean, I'm fortunate because I live in Queens, not Manhattan. So it's like a little less, I guess, crazy in a sense. But I mean, having like, you know, I have family in Manhattan and stuff. I you know, I go to Manhattan all the time, and it's not like the wild, wild west that some people in the media want to make it out to be, you know? And I feel safer here rather than in like, you know, a state that maybe is more red, a state that is more conservative, you know, especially as a Black woman, you know, like I have family down south in Georgia and South Carolina, and I feel like I would be more afraid to live down there than here, where you're, you know, at least in a more diverse, you know, liberal area. And it's sad that it comes down to that, you know, we're at a place where we're so polarized, where like you feel like liberal means safe and like conservative, it means like dangerous, you know?
Well, wrapping up our interview, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 3 down the road.
I'm Jenny Fine.
Hi, it's Mimi Chen.
Hi, my name is Ellen George.
I'm Shauna Talk.
Hey guys, I'm Anastasia Edwards.
Hi, this is Jackie Nunez.
Hi, I'm Amelia Rose.
There, I'm Dr. Netta.
Hey guys, I'm Alexandria Denise, and you're watching Keith Andrew's show. He's doing a terrific job. Make sure you like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more options.